Hi. Since the announcement in December of the new MM2H visa program, we've had a lot of inquiries, people who just want more information or people who actually just want to apply. Now, the program that was put in place a couple of years ago said you must make 40,000 ringgit a month in order to qualify for the visa. The fact is, it is fundamentally a retirement visa. That's the group that has the most interest, the most genuine interest, I should say. Not exclusively, but mostly. And very few of them actually meet that requirement. We're talking about $9,000 a month income after tax. That's a fairly substantial amount to show as income. And very few people could actually produce documents to show that. So the applications fell dramatically. The new program was announced, basically a tiered structure, silver, gold, platinum, where depending upon how much money you put in the fixed deposit account in Malaysia, the longer the visa you were issued to stay here. And in the extreme case of putting down 5 million ringgit, you were eligible for permanent residency in Malaysia. So that created a lot of interest. A lot of people got in touch with us, but there was a missing element, and that was, what is the new monthly income requirement? And newspapers in Malaysia have been carrying stories about the new program, and nearly all of them state, when does this start, the new program, and what is the income criteria? There have been no answers from the Ministry of Tourism. So that's bewildering to most people. What we have heard, and I don't know this for a fact, I must make this very clear right at the beginning, this is what I've been told, and we're not able to substantiate it. The program that was announced did not actually have cabinet approval. Now, up until now, the basic program and the subsequent changes have usually been signed off by the Malaysian government, the cabinet. And apparently in this case, that has not taken place. So it does seem as though maybe the Ministry of Tourism were a bit premature in announcing the new details of the visa. Now, the Prime Minister had already stated in his budget speech that he would be easing the conditions for the program. So they were under pressure to come up with some revised terms and conditions, but it's possible that they actually came out a bit too soon. What we know for a fact is they are no longer accepting any applications, even under the old system, for the program. So basically we've gone back to the previous situation where it's been suspended. That, I think, is extremely unfortunate, not only for the people who'd like to come and apply for the visa, but also for those people in Malaysia who are now not going to benefit from the presence of more and more foreigners spending their money, keeping them in business, and helping the local economy. So we are hoping things will be sorted out quite quickly. However, I have some fairly good contacts who said that the Ministry of Tourism is not offering any explanation at this point as to why they have not clarified the rules or why it has not actually been implemented. So it clearly seems something somewhere has gone wrong. But again, I have to admit I may be wrong. Now, the two things that really struck me about the new program was the fact that there was no launch date, as well as no indication of the minimum income. The other thing was offering permanent residency was very surprising to me. In all the years I've lived here, one thing has become very clear. Malaysia is very reluctant to give permanent residency. As a result, even the people who meet the paper qualifications for it, which is usually that you're married to a local and that you have fluency in the language, etc., and have lived here for a suitable amount of time. And even then, some of them wait 15, 20 years to get approval. So the idea that people will just put 5 million in a fixed deposit account, become eligible and quickly get approval seems very, very unlikely to me. So it may well be that if it is correct, the cabinet has not signed off on it, that when they do get it, there will be further changes made to the program. Again, I don't know if that's the case. What we do know is that last year, the Ministry of Tourism took over responsibility for reviewing documents that were submitted for even routine things like renewing your visa or extending the visa in your passport. And obviously for new applications, they would be the first people to review it. And from that perspective, they then took on a role which they had a few years ago, was then transferred to immigration, who handle all new applications. Now it's gone back to the Ministry of Tourism. I should emphasize, immigration is still very much involved. It's just the initial point of contact is with the Ministry of Tourism. Now, as an agent for the program, which we are, one of the many, we are being told that our license currently is on a month-to-month basis. So we got one issue to the end of January. When we got to the end of January, we asked, what do we do now? Because we don't have a license. They gave us another one to the end of February. Again, we're getting closer to the end of February. Are we going to get another one to the end of March? I think it's quite possible that it will be extended like this on a month-to-month basis. They have announced they want to review all agents and remove those that have somehow not followed the rules, or even some of them were forced to move out of offices and operate out of their homes just because of the fact that the program was suspended for so long, and then the rules changed to a point where hardly anyone applied or qualified. So a lot of agents have suffered quite severely over the last few years, and those that moved out of offices apparently are at risk of losing their licenses completely. But again, we're waiting for further clarification on this, so there's a fair amount of speculation involved here. The final point I want to make, again, is that I would like to see this program as a genuine retirement visa. I think that if somebody wants to come in and live here and not work, which is the premise under which MM2H was originally set up, then they should be probably at least 50 years old. I don't see the point in giving a visa to someone in the 30s or 40s and assume that they're not going to be working in Malaysia at some point. If you want to work here, then by all means, I think they should relax the conditions on employment passes, so people who genuinely want to come here and look for a job and can be seen to contribute to the economic growth in Malaysia, let them into the country. If somebody wants to come and invest here in a company and participate in running it, make it easier for them to do so. That's very desirable. But in terms of the MM2H visa, I would like to see it strictly held towards people who want to retire here. There are a couple of exceptions. One is, I believe there is a huge opportunity for Johor to become residences for people in Singapore who would like to live there because it is so much cheaper than Singapore. And if they could commute each day or periodically to their offices in Singapore, I know many would be happy to live in Johor because the cost of housing is about a quarter of what it is in Singapore, and therefore it's a very attractive proposition for people who are looking to cut costs. So I'd like to see that, and one other visa I'd like to see, again a retirement visa, but is one with separate conditions for people who've lived in Malaysia and worked here, let's say 5 years or longer, have come up to retirement and actually want to stay on here but don't have the offshore income because they've been working here, saving here, bought houses here. Let's set a new set of conditions for those people, recognize the contribution they've made while they work here, and if it seems to be reasonable, then give them a visa, allow them to retire here and spend the money that they've earned. So as and when we get more information, we'll share it with you. I've got a good team behind me that helps me get the latest information, and we're ready to assist anybody who would like help with an application. But first, you have to wait until the ministry says we can submit them. So until then, goodbye, take care, bye.